What if I told you that something sitting quietly on your kitchen shelf, something you add to your breakfast with the best of intentions, could silently be increasing your risk of stroke or heart attack? Yes, a single spoonful. A daily habit so ordinary it barely catches your attention. But beneath its golden color, behind its sweet flavor or comforting warmth, it may be tipping your blood toward danger. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine your bloodstream as a vast highway system. Billions of red blood cells zipping along, delivering oxygen like little taxis to every corner of your body. Now imagine a traffic jam, sudden, silent, and deadly. A single clot, like a car crash during rush hour, can bring the entire system to a halt. That's what a stroke is. That's what a heart attack becomes. One blockage, one moment, one mistake. And here's the hard truth. Most of these accidents don't happen by surprise. They build up over time, slowly, silently, like rust forming in your pipes or leaves clogging your gutters. You don't notice it until everything overflows. Now, I know you're doing your best. You're trying to eat better. You're reading labels. Maybe you even cut back on salt, sugar, or fat. But what if the danger isn't in what you took out, but in what you're still putting in? Because even a so-called healthy breakfast, instant oats, low-fat yogurt, honey-drizzled toast can trigger inflammation, spike your blood sugar, and thicken your blood when not paired with the right habits. And when you're over 60, your body doesn't bounce back the way it used to. Your blood vessels, once elastic like young garden hoses, are now stiffer, more fragile. Your heart, still pumping 100,000 times a day, is working overtime just to get blood through 60,000 miles of tubes that may already be narrowed or inflamed. Let me put it another way. Your heart is the engine. Your arteries are the roads. Your blood is the fuel. But if that fuel becomes thick, sticky, or toxic, it doesn't matter how strong the engine is, something will break. And here's the most frightening part. You won't feel it coming. A stroke doesn't knock. A heart attack doesn't give notice. There's no countdown, no siren, just a sudden shift. One side of your face feels numb, your words come out jumbled, or your chest tightens like an invisible fist is squeezing your heart from the inside. Now ask yourself, could that harmless spoonful be setting the stage? I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to wake you up. Because while medication may manage symptoms and surgeries may fix what's broken, the true power lies in prevention. And prevention starts with knowing what to watch for, especially the things that look innocent but act like silent saboteurs. This video isn't about blaming your habits. It's about revealing what's been hiding in plain sight. That one spoonful, that daily ritual, the thing you trust to nourish you, but could be harming you if taken in the wrong way, at the wrong time, or in the wrong form. We're going to uncover it together. Because stroke and heart attack are not just medical events, they're life interruptions. They steal your independence, your confidence, your future, but they don't have to. So if you've ever felt cold fingertips in the morning, if your legs cramp at night, if your heartbeat skips or speeds up without warning, this isn't just getting older. These are whispers, clues, signals your blood is sending before the storm. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what this mysterious spoonful is, why it can be dangerous or incredibly healing, and how you can make one small change that may just protect your heart and brain for years to come. Your life doesn't have to be a guessing game, and your next meal doesn't have to be a trap. Let's flip the script. Let food become your medicine before it becomes your mistake. Let's take a deeper look, beyond the spoon, beneath the surface, into what's really happening inside your body when circulation goes wrong. Because a stroke or heart attack doesn't start in the emergency room. It starts in your blood. Every second, your heart pushes blood with astonishing precision. Imagine holding a tennis ball in your hand. That's roughly the size of your heart. Now imagine squeezing that ball 70 to 100 times every minute. 100,000 times a day, without rest. That's what your heart does, day in, day out, for you. But what happens when the roads your heart relies on, The arteries begin to clog. What happens when your blood becomes thicker, slower, stickier? That's when disaster brews. Let's start with stroke, the brain attack we rarely see coming. Your brain is your command center. It controls your thoughts, your movements, your words, even your memories. It's like the CEO of your body running board meetings 24/7 with no breaks. But it has one weakness. It relies entirely on oxygen-rich blood, delivered second by second through tiny fragile vessels. When a clot forms and blocks that delivery, even for just a few minutes, brain cells begin to die. It's like someone flipping off the light switch in a room full of computers. Everything crashes, coordination vanishes, speech slurs, vision blurs, and here's what makes it even more terrifying. Many strokes are silent. No chest pain, no warning signs, just a little confusion here, a stumble there, maybe a moment of memory loss, and then it passes. You chalk it up to age, but in truth, it was your brain crying out for help. These are called TIAs, transient ischemic attacks, mini strokes, and they are massive red flags that a major event could be just around the corner. Now, let's shift focus to the heart, the ever-pumping unsung hero of your life. When a heart attack strikes, it's not just a matter of pain in the chest. It's the end result of years of silent inflammation, cholesterol buildup, high blood pressure, and poor circulation. Think of your coronary arteries like garden hoses. When they're young and healthy, water flows easily. But over time, if you pour sugary syrup through them day after day, what happens? Gunk builds up. The walls become stiff. Flow slows. Pressure rises. Eventually, one tiny clot can wedge itself into a narrowed space. And that's it. No more oxygen to that part of the heart. And that section dies. That's how myocardial infarction, a heart attack, happens. Quietly. Then, suddenly. You might feel a squeezing in your chest, pain down your left arm, shortness of breath, or cold sweat. But in 1/3 of cases, especially in older adults, there are no classic symptoms. They're misread as indigestion, fatigue, or even anxiety. And that brings us to the real enemy here, not just the clot, but the invisibility of the danger. You don't see thick blood. You don't hear arteries hardening. There's no siren when inflammation flares. No blinking light when your platelets start clumping unnecessarily. And the foods you trust, the ones that say low fat or sugar-free, may still be filling your body with sodium, trans fats, and chemicals that inflame your blood vessels without you even realizing it. Let's talk about some of these seemingly harmless habits. Instant oatmeal packets. Sounds healthy, right? But many are loaded with added sugar and sodium, which spike your blood sugar and your blood pressure. 2 risk factors for both stroke and heart attack. Table salt or bouillon cubes. You don't have to salt your food heavily to consume excess sodium. Many canned soups, sauces, and frozen meals are sodium bombs in disguise. Vegetable oils like corn, soybean, or canola used daily in cooking are highly processed and inflammatory, especially when reused or heated repeatedly. Even natural sweeteners like honey or maple syrup in large amounts can spike insulin, promote weight gain, and thicken the blood over time, especially dangerous when paired with poor hydration. Here's the brutal truth. Your blood becomes what you feed it. Every meal is either fuel or friction. And at 60, 70, or 80 years old, your body doesn't recover from friction the way it used to. Blood vessels that were once wide rivers become narrow creeks. Your immune system, slower to repair. Your liver, more burdened. And your heart, it keeps pumping until one moment it can't. Now ask yourself, have you ever felt dizzy when standing up? Do your fingers or toes often feel cold, numb, or tingly? Do you wake up tired even after sleeping? Do your legs cramp while walking short distances? These aren't just quirks of aging. These are whispers from your circulatory system warning that something isn't right. You see, stroke and heart attack don't begin in hospitals. They begin in your grocery cart, on your plate, in your habits. They begin with a spoonful, then a second, then a daily ritual, and soon the road is set. But here's the good news. Yes, there is good news. Your body is not broken. It is adaptable, resilient. Even after years of damage, the body has an astonishing ability to heal, reroute, and rejuvenate if given the right support. The question is, are you ready to give it that support? Because once you see the truth behind the foods you eat, once you recognize the power in your daily choices, you gain something far more valuable than information. You gain control, and when you combine that control with the right natural tools, foods, habits, and mindset, you don't just reduce your risk, you reclaim your life. In just a moment, I'm going to show you exactly what to do, down to the teaspoon. We'll talk about simple, natural ingredients, backed by science, that can help thin your blood, reduce clots, lower blood pressure, and protect your brain and heart. But before we do, I want you to sit with this truth. No one is coming to save your heart. No one is monitoring your blood vessels for you. That responsibility, beautiful and heavy, rests with you, and you are more than capable of carrying it. Let's take your first step toward healing, starting now. Now that we've uncovered the hidden dangers, it's time to flip the script, because you're not powerless, you're not too old, and it's not too late. In fact, you're just one small habit away from radically improving your circulation, reducing your stroke risk, and giving your heart the relief it's been begging for. Let me introduce you to a handful of everyday foods and natural practices, no prescriptions, no gimmicks, that act like gentle guardians for your arteries and blood. They're not magic. They're not expensive. But when used correctly, they can be more powerful than any pill. 1. Garlic, nature's blood, thinner. Let's start with a food you already know, but probably aren't using to its full potential. Garlic, not powdered, not in capsules, but fresh, raw, and crushed. When garlic is crushed, it releases a compound called allicin. Allicin has been shown to inhibit platelet aggregation. Basically, it helps prevent your blood cells from clumping together to form dangerous clots. It's like telling your blood, stay smooth, stay moving. Garlic also relaxes your blood vessels, lowers blood pressure, and supports your endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your arteries that often breaks down with age or inflammation. How to use it. Take 1 clove of raw garlic. Crush it with the flat side of a knife. Let it sit for 10 minutes. This activates the allicin. Swallow it whole or mix with a teaspoon of honey to soften the kick. Take it in the morning on an empty stomach for best results. Optional, add a squeeze of lemon or a sip of warm water after. You'll be amazed how something so small can have such a big impact. Think of it as your morning insurance policy, protecting the highways inside your body before the day even begins. 2. Beets, fuel for blood flow. Beets aren't just colorful, they're powerful. Rich in nitrates, beets naturally convert into nitric oxide in the body, a compound that helps dilate blood vessels, lower blood pressure, and increase oxygen flow to the brain and muscles. It's like turning a narrow country road into a wide freeway. Your heart doesn't have to work as hard, and your brain gets more of what it needs. How to use it. Roast or boil fresh beets, slice into salads, or blend into smoothies. Even beetroot powder in smoothies or water is effective if fresh isn't available. Aim for 1/2 to 1 cup daily, or 1 TSP powder mixed with water. Think of nitric oxide as your body's circulatory lubricant. Beets keep the system flowing like a freshly oiled engine. 3. Flaxseed, fiber, plus omega-3. Combo. Flaxseed is tiny but mighty. It delivers omega-3 fatty acids, soluble fiber, and powerful compounds called lignans, all of which help reduce inflammation, support healthy cholesterol, and improve blood viscosity, how thick or thin your blood is. Studies show that just 30 grams a day, about 2 tablespoons, of ground flaxseed can lower systolic blood pressure by up to 10 points, comparable to some medications. How to use it? Choose ground flaxseed, not whole. Your body can't digest the shell. Mix into oatmeal, smoothies, yogurt, or sprinkle on salads. Store in the fridge to keep it fresh. Start with 1 tablespoon a day. Increase to 2 as tolerated. If your heart were a river, flaxseed would be the gentle rain upstream. Quiet, consistent, life-giving. Bonus boosters: turmeric and cayenne. Want to level up your healing even further? These 2 natural powerhouses are like reinforcements for your blood vessels. Turmeric contains curcumin, an anti-inflammatory compound that keeps blood vessels elastic and reduces oxidative stress, the same kind that damages arteries. How? Add a pinch to your garlic plus honey mix, or use it in cooking with black pepper, which boosts absorption. Cayenne pepper, packed with capsaicin, cayenne supports circulation by gently widening blood vessels and boosting heart function. How? A dash in warm water or tea, or paired with lemon juice for a circulation-boosting tonic. Just like tuning a piano, these spices fine-tune your body's rhythm, so everything flows in harmony. Ibiujiupa. Ours, lifestyle habits that keep the river-flowing food is medicine, but so is movement, breath, and routine. Let's talk daily habits that keep your blood in motion. 1. Walking, the most underrated lifesaver. Just 20-30 minutes of walking a day can lower blood pressure, reduce clotting risk, and even shrink the waistline. Take a walk after meals, especially dinner, to help digestion and circulation. Pair walking with sunlight for a vitamin D boost, another key player in cardiovascular health. Think of walking as your natural pump. Every step tells your blood, keep going. 2. Breathing, the 4-7-8 method. When stress rises, blood vessels constrict, blood pressure spikes, and heart rhythm falters. That's why controlled breathing is your body's reset button. Try this. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Exhale for 8 seconds. Repeat for 4 rounds, 1-2 times daily. Breathing is free, silent, and immediate. Use it often. 3. Watch hidden sodium. You might not be adding salt at the table, but processed foods often sneak in excess sodium, which stiffens arteries and elevates blood pressure. Tip: read nutrition labels. Aim for under 1,500 mg sodium per day. Avoid canned soups, deli meats, boxed meals, sauces, and frozen dinners. Replace with herbs, garlic, lemon, or black pepper for flavor. Just as one leak can sink a ship, one salty snack can spike your pressure. Self-monitoring, self-mastery. Your blood pressure shouldn't be a mystery. Take control with these easy self-checks. Svasturia. White's Morning BP will be reading. Take your pressure first thing in the morning, seated, calm, and rested. Track it for 2-4 weeks. Patterns reveal more than 1 off numbers. Hand plus, foot clues, cold hands or feet, jira, poor circulation, puffy fingers, jira, sodium overload, tingling toes, jira, blood flow disruption. Listen to your heart literally. Sit quietly. Feel your chest. Is it racing, skipping, working too hard? Your body whispers before it screams. Summary protocol. Start tomorrow. Let's make this simple. Here's your morning heart and brain protection ritual. Crush 1 garlic clove. Let sit for 10 minutes. Mix with 1 TSP honey, optional turmeric. Take on an empty stomach. Follow with warm water or lemon if needed. Do this daily for 2 to 4 weeks. Track your blood pressure, energy, mental clarity. It takes less than 2 minutes and could give you years more of vibrant, independent life. Final thought, choose the spoon that heals. Every meal is a fork in the road. One path leads to healing, the other to harm. Today, you've learned that you hold the spoon. Will it stir the pot of inflammation or become the teaspoon of prevention? You don't need perfection. You don't need a dozen supplements or a personal chef. You just need intention, consistency, and the willingness to give your body what it's been asking for all along: support. You've made it this far, and that means something. It means you care about your health, about your future, about waking up tomorrow with a little more clarity, a little more energy, and a little more peace of mind. You see, preventing a stroke or heart attack isn't about fear. It's about freedom. Freedom to hold your grandchild without worrying about chest pain. Freedom to walk to your mailbox without feeling dizzy. Freedom to remember names, conversations, and precious moments without fog. It's easy to believe that health decline is just part of aging. But that's not entirely true. Aging is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Your body is not broken. It's waiting for you to stop interfering with what it's trying to do every single day. Heal. So start small. Start with 1 crushed garlic clove, 1 teaspoon of flaxseed, 1 walk after dinner, 1 breath in, hold, and release. And if you do it today, you'll wake up tomorrow stronger than you were yesterday. Remember, no doctor, no pill, no surgery can do what you can do for yourself, starting from your kitchen table. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt fully in charge of your health? Today can be that day. If this video gave you insight, hope, or a nudge in the right direction, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you love. It could be your spouse, your friend, your neighbor. You might just help them prevent a stroke or heart attack without even knowing it. Leave a comment below and let me know. Have you ever tried garlic or flaxseed for heart health? Are you willing to give this natural protocol a try for the next 2 weeks? This channel, Senior Health Guide, is here to walk with you. Every step, every heartbeat. So stay smart, stay strong, and above all, stay curious. Because sometimes the smallest things, a clove of garlic, a walk in the sun, a deep breath, can make the biggest difference. Until next time, take care of your heart, take care of your brain, and make it a beautiful day. I'm Senior Health Guide. Wait, no, I'm not. But I am someone who believes that food is the most powerful medicine, and so are you.